instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. Yes, indeed. Back, the Flagstick Podcast, brought to you by Srixon Golf Canada. Srixon golf balls. I personally have been using the Srixon golf ball for quite a while, and whether you're looking for a premium urethane option or a Z-Star series, the quality budget option in the soft feel, or somewhere in between with the Q-Star Tour, Srixon Golf is bound to present an option that will work for your game. For more information, visit srixon.ca. Yes, here we are. I am.
Hey, stranger.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a while.
It has been between sicknesses and
sicknesses and more
sicknesses and tons of sicknesses. We paused, delayed, whatever we had to do, because frankly,
it's been a nightmare.
It hasn't been fun. It hasn't been a fun little last little bit, but here we are. Not 100% healthy by any stretch of the imagination, but
we're getting there.
Healthy enough to put a set of headphones on, stick a microphone in front of our face. And
it's what everybody's dealing with these days. I mean, and obviously it's not a case of just COVID that's affecting flu season, colds, viruses. There's so many things. I think I've had one of each at this point. A continual,
it's like a bowl of salad. There's the lettuce, and then there's the COVID, and there's the flu, and there's the runny nose. It's like, God.
It's not been great.
It's not what?
It's not been great, that's for sure. And we've been trying to kind of get back to this, and every time we seem to go, hey, let's go for this week, and then it's like, how you feel? No, not great. My voice is terrible. But anyways, we're here.
Exactly. We are indeed. And we do have no surprise, really. We do have a great show lined up for this week. I am working on zero sleep, as we talked about before we started doing the podcast here. We talked about my phone decided it wanted to lock up, shut down, do whatever it felt like, and make me restore to factory settings. So I spent probably till 2:15 in the morning getting it restored into a point where I could actually use it. I'll spend the rest of the day bringing it back to somewhat normal. But
you know what I say about technology? It's great when it works, right?
Why can't it not work at 1:00 in the afternoon instead of 1:00 in the morning?
Yeah, I don't know. That's just the way it is.
Murphy's Law or something. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
I think so. So what do we got going on this week?
Well, we've got obviously some great stuff to get caught up on in the front nine, some news related stuff about some locals and some great golf information. Too much to name in a quick little blurb here, but we've got a product watch. We're going to talk about some putters, and we're going to head out to the lesson tee, or the lesson studio, if you will.
Indoors these days.
Yeah, exactly. And, it is winter and we're not outside. So we're taking off to Kevin Hames' golf studio, where he and Jake are going to talk about, they're going to explain trailing knee flex using technology, 3D motion capture. So that should be kind of cool. And I think you'll enjoy that. But before we can get to all that, obviously, we've got to start, we've got to get to the front nine, and the front nine, as always, presented by our good friends at Metcalfe Golf Club, a natural setting, a pleasant challenge. With the holidays right around the corner, now is the perfect time to get the golfer on your list something they would love. Give the gift of golf this Christmas, this holiday season. Visit metcalfegolf.com to shop now. All right. Well, we're going to start off the front nine with some really big, surprising to all of us, because thanks OVGA for keeping this a
secret
secret for as long as you did, but good secrets, when they're revealed, are really they're really exciting. So our good friend, colleague, long time in the golf industry.
I was wondering where you're going with that.
Joe McLean
Yeah.
was inducted into the OVGA Golf Hall of Fame,
Yeah,
and
in the builder category.
in the builder category. And this is, I mean, Joe started volunteering for OVG events in 1984.
Yeah.
So this is, this is going back, this is preceding Flagstick by a long shot. So a lot of people that listen to us and have, know us, know Joe. They hear of Joe through Flagstick, but Joe's contributions to Flagstick is just a small little blip on Joe's. We call it a resume. It's not really a resume, but on his history.
Yeah, that's
in
going
the
back
golf
almost
industry.
50. That's almost going back almost 50 years. That's 40 years. 40
exactly.
Years,
And he has been the president of the OVGA. He's been a director. He has been the tournament director of the OVGA. He is now the archivist for the OVGA. The history that's preserved on this, this great association that's been around for years. That's, Joe is the one that's sort of taken the, the bull by the horns, so to speak, with respect to that, and kept that going and continues to keep that going for the OVGA. So when I think of Joe, I always obviously think of, Joe, really good friend, and been working with him. He's been a part of Flagstick for all 26 years of what we've been doing. And, for him to get an award like this, it's just an extraordinary accomplishment. I know he knows it's extraordinary. Joe's a very humble person. He doesn't look for awards like this. He doesn't, as exciting as you get when you receive an award. And unfortunately, speaking of our sicknesses, I was down and out on the night that he was to receive this award, even though I had no idea he was getting this award. It was
nor did he.
No, exactly. And I'm so glad that the OVGA did this because this is a man who is he is so deserving of all of the accolades that come his way now. Obviously, we know that Joe is retired from Flagstick. I'm sure Joe is not retired from golf by any means, but
no.
He's retired from Flagstick, and we're surely going to miss him, contributing here and being a part of what we do here, although he's always welcome to step in anytime he likes. He wants to come out of retirement. You're welcome to.
Still get lots of texts and emails from Joe, so it's okay.
So he's not gone. He's just enjoying some level of retirement, whatever that is for Joe. But man, just an extraordinary accomplishment, extraordinary honor for him to receive this award.
Yeah, you got to remember, I mean, Joe worked full-time as a health inspector for the city of Ottawa for 31 years. So everything he's done in golf has been on top of that as far as the job as well before he came to Flagstick. And, as you mentioned, OVGA, he's also the archivist for the PGA of Canada. He just finished doing a comprehensive history of the PGA of Canada, Ottawa Valley Zone. He's written 100th anniversary books for Rivermead for Mississippi. He co-wrote the 50th anniversary book for Canada. He was also the editor for the Jigger, which is the Golf Historical Society of Canada, their quarterly newsletter. He was doing that for a while as well. So, I mean, he deserves some time, obviously, to kind of for himself and to be with Paula, his lovely wife. But there's people that need to be recognized as far as especially in a builder category that add an accent to what happens in the golf community, especially in the Ottawa Valley. And there's others that should be on that list, and we hope to see that at some point soon. But Joe is definitely a great place to start. And thankfully, I talked to Drew Lefebvre, the president of the OVGA, and they basically said on, Joe's retirement from Flagstick, they figured it was a perfect time to go about and do this on. And you got to remember, Joe actually serves, so they kept it from him. Joe actually serves on the Hall of Fame committee as well. He's active in the role of that or whatever. So they worked around him to make this happen. So anyways, kudos to Joe. great to see. I know, he's obviously going to stay involved with the historical aspect of the game, the aspect that he really loves as far as the history. And, this recognition is perfect because, as he says, the OVGA, it's close to his heart. He obviously put a lot of time, a lot of effort into things with the OVGA over the years. As you mentioned, his multiple roles on the board over the years, continuing to be at events and so forth. So it's just perfect. It's the right choice for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Can't agree more.
Yeah.
Congrats,
Joe.
more.
Well, you
Good
could.
job, Joe. Okay.
The funny part was I thought about it. I was like, man, it'd be great to get Joe on here to talk about, but he wouldn't, that he would be like, no, I don't want to go on the podcast or whatever. So who knows?
Well,
Someday,
we can
maybe
ask him. We can ask
Yeah.
him if he says yes. Then sure, we can certainly. I'd love to have him on to talk about it. I mean, it's the thing with Joe is that there's an endless archive of stories, and you'd like to kind of let the guard down a little bit and share some of those stories that maybe you don't want, maybe the G-rated ones, of course, because this isn't spitting chiclets or whatever with Biz. Sure. It is family friendly to a point. But to get him on and talk about stories, not so much talk about the Hall of Fame specifically, but just to have him on because there's
no, for sure,
that kind of stuff. So maybe we can drag him out here at some point or another.
Let's hope so.
We'll see. Okay. Well, let's move on to President's Cup news.
Yeah, for sure.
And
big one
obviously
this week.
the last time I saw the President's Cup obviously was when it was in Canada. Yep. And you were with me, and we witnessed. Obviously,
I was there every day. I was there. I was the.
You were there for the practice rounds, walking around inside the ropes with some of the players there too. Yep. So,
I was there. I was the first person in the media room actually that year. I still have a picture someplace of the very empty media room when I showed up. The spectators weren't allowed in on. I think it was the Tuesday. I actually made reference to it this week, and this will play into exactly what we're about to talk about. And so I went for a walk on the Tuesday with Mike Weir, who we're about to talk about. Basically, a couple other players. I'd have to look. I think it was Retief Goosen, a couple of the caddies, the doctor from the club at Royal Montreal. So Royal Montreal was the host in 2007 and will be in 2024. I think there was 9 of us in total walking around for the practice round. And the thing that I remember the most was Mike was sort of in a transition at that point where he was doing some stack and tilt type stuff, and he was really struggling with his driver. Like his wedges and putter were bang on, but I can remember he was also testing some prototype golf balls that week, and we were looking for these golf balls. Like Butch's caddy was like,
steal Mike Weir's prototype golf ball.
Hey, can you go find that ball or help us find that? Because I can remember him hitting like 4 balls off the tee on the 8th hole in the practice round. And the 8th hole at Royal Montreal is a slight dogleg left, and it has a small apple orchard on the left side, a number of apple trees that are down there. And I can remember sitting there searching for these golf balls, thinking, oh my God, how's this guy going to play, against some of the best players? And I mean, he's a fantastic player, obviously, at that point, but he was a captain's pick that week.
Yeah.
And so he was struggling, and then just thought, man, this guy's gritty, but let's see what happens. And you know what? Obviously, a lot happened that week.
Yeah.
3-1-1, beat Tiger on the Sunday. Obviously, a huge moment in Canadian golf for him. They got waxed, but won his singles match against Tiger, and that became iconic. So when they announced Royal Montreal was obviously going to be the host in 2024, and I remember doing an interview a couple years ago with Ryan Hart, who's the executive director, and you knew automatically that was who was going to be the
Oh,
captain
for
for the
sure.
international side. This is a guy who played on 5 teams, has been a captain's assistant 3 times. It was a formality, really, is what it was. And obviously, they announced him this week in a ceremony at the Bell Center in Montreal as officially the captain of the President's Cup international team for 2024 at Royal Montreal, appropriately. And I think, it's the best thing that could happen for that event.
Now, the kicker on that is not that it's surprising that Mike Weir was announced as the captain of the international team for the 2024 event, but the announcement of Laurie Kane.
There's no announcement regarding Laurie
Oh,
Kane.
sorry. My mistake.
Yeah.
No, that was it would be nice. We talked about this. Sorry.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when I stay up until 2 a.m. trying to fix my damn iPhone.
You're trying to read the notes.
Oh my God.
So here's the thing. There's normally 4 captain's
Yes.
assistants, right? So what happened was yesterday morning, I had been thinking about a couple of things, and obviously it's super cool that, he is the captain. And I also got to thinking about, events like the Australian Open that are happening right now, which both have men and women both playing at the same time, and the all abilities players. And I thought, you know what? The President's Cup itself has gone flat. Obviously, it's been very difficult. The internationals have struggled to perform and play. They need something to kind of help boost this, on top of Royal Montreal being a host and that helping. And I tweeted about the fact that wouldn't it be a cool twist if Mike Weir chose a 99-time top 10 player on a major tour, a 4-time winner, a person who is a coach's kid, who's super gritty, but is still loved by everyone, as one of his captain's assistants in Laurie Kane. And, got a fair bit of traction on that. And I still think it's a cool thing, including Laurie. She saw the tweet and gave it a like and stuff as well. But, I think it would be neat. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Obviously, there's never been a female as a captain's assistant, but there's not an eligibility requirement for captains.
I think it's a really good idea, because ultimately what you're talking about is a captain's assistant is not somebody. It's not like she's required to play. It's not like she's required to give these guys swing tips and help them with their game. She's there as in a support capacity. She's there to advise and help Mike with decision making and things like that. And she's a seasoned professional. We're not talking about some young rookie LPGA player.
Sure.
I mean, we're talking about somebody who has years of experience and understanding of the game and strategies of the game. So her knowledge could be invaluable to like, how is Laurie Kane's knowledge in a situation like that going to be any worse than any PGA Tour player that he would select as a captain?
I mean, they have lots of other people to help out with analytics and all the different other aspects of the game. That sort of side of things. But those captains, as you said, they're there to assist Mike in anything he needs to get done, to help motivate the players, to talk to the players. I mean, she's not going to ruffle any feathers. She's certainly comfortable in talking to everyone. And I mean, I just, and again, I didn't think about it just for the sake of, hey, that's cool. And it's just a, kind of a neat thing because it's a female. I genuinely think, she would be a great contributor
I agree.
to that team. And really, I mean, if you look at it as far as people that, have led the game in Canada over the years, I mean, she's got the time to do it right now too. I mean, she's playing legend stuff, but she's obviously not playing a lot of full-time LPGA. She's not playing the Canadian Open anymore. She played her last CP Women's Open this past year. I'm sure if she's up for it, who knows? Maybe they've already talked. Maybe I put something out there that's already been happening. Who knows?
Hey, you're a journalist.
Yeah, who knows?
You got to float this stuff out there every once in a while, right?
I have no hints of anything that's happening.
No.
So let's not just say I'm floating out there from a rumor standpoint or anything like that. It's just pure speculation. But I like the idea.
It's an idea.
Yeah, I think it's a neat concept.
I think it'd be great. I really do.
So anyways, we'll see. Maybe there will be an official announcement at some point.
Hey, that'd be good. Then I could actually really make the announcement instead of fake making the announcement because I'm half asleep and can't read. Oh my goodness. And it's typed notes too. They're not even handwritten notes. It's like right there. Oh.
And speaking of the Australian Open.
Speaking of the Australian Open, okay, we're going to talk about Kurtis now.
Yeah, why not? So okay. we talk about Kurtis a lot because he's been playing a lot this fall.
Hey, look at when you're playing a lot and you're playing well, and you're getting a lot of attention. And Kurtis is been getting a lot of attention for a while now, and it's deservedly so. But he just once again a T2 in the latest event in Australia.
No, so he finished second in the event in Dubai.
Sorry, the Dubai event. See, again, I can't read.
You're okay. It's okay. So he finished, so he tied for second in Dubai. And then this week he's so basically he went directly from Dubai down to Australia. The Australian Open is on. Obviously, like I said, it's a huge event down in the Melbourne area. 2 clubs there. The All Abilities Championship is being held at the Victoria Golf Club. He lost in a playoff in this event in 2019. Yes. But again, they're playing right on the same golf course. They're playing at the Victoria Golf Club. As we record this podcast, they finished the first round. They'll be playing again tonight. He finished with a spectacular. I tweeted it today. There's a spectacular wedge shot on the last hole out of the bunker, which was only upended by his playing partner, who actually ended up holding the bunker shot inside him. But he's 2 back off the lead. He's tied for third. He's in contention again there for that event. So continues to play super well. Continues to have his spot there in the top 7 in the world rankings. And he's living his dream, and it's great to see, and he's certainly enjoying it. And it's pretty cool.
No, it's fun to follow him. Because he's active on social media too, so you get a pretty good idea of what he's doing all the time. But he's always updating things, and
he's got a pal that helps him out with a few things there here and there when he's kind of playing and doing the prep stuff or whatever. But he's definitely interacting with people and sharing lots of stuff and doing what he can to really support the G4D Tour.
Yeah, no, it's great to see him having some success too. He's won some events. He's been a repeat winner, particularly with the in Ontario and in Canada.
He's a 3-time Canadian All Abilities champion, 3-time in Ontario as well, and then obviously has won. We'll call it non all abilities, but just your standard OBJ events. He's obviously been a match play champion. I mean, tournament of champions, won a smuggler shootout. We've talked about it a fair bit here. So if people are thinking these golfers are just sort of they're sort of a little segment off there, these people can play. And I can tell you the Victoria Golf Club shooting the round that he did, I mean, he beat a lot of the other the pros that are out there playing. And same thing as Dubai. The only thing that struggles for him is that they're playing off same sets of tee boxes as the male. So I mean, it's long golf courses, and he's not the longest guy. So the fact that he can put together the rounds that he does is even more exceptional for sure.
No question. I've seen his short game.
Oh yeah, it's filthy.
It is filthy. Okay, Scotty Mac.
Yes, sir.
We got a little bit of time here before we got to take a break.
Sure.
What do you want to touch on before we have to make the turn here and head to the break?
Well, why don't we just give a quick mention here to we talked about that Lori Kane and playing in her last CP Women's Open this past August. We should say that the 2022 CP Women's Open was named the Tournament of the Year on the LPGA Tour.
Not shocking.
Not shocking, they've won it before, but congratulations, to the fans as well. And that's one of the biggest kudos. It's great for Golf Canada, great for the LPGA. obviously put on a tremendous event. Obviously, with the support of being Brooke there, that obviously helps. But CP with their charity and how much they gave back, $2.5 million back to
Extraordinary.
charities, not only at Chio but also in the Perth Smith Falls area. Super extraordinary and well deserved. And the fans, the golfers of Ottawa, had something to do with that as well, creating the huge attendance and coming out. So kudos to everyone, and the fact that the 2022 Women's Open was the tournament of the year, and also kudos as well to the Hunt Club and all the staff there for all the hard work they put in too.
Absolutely. And this year, this version of the CP Women's Open, especially given what had happened with the storm and the cleanup and everything.
Oh yeah,
to get the course and the facility ready for a tournament of this magnitude, and to be able to pull that off and come out with being named Tournament of the Year on the LPGA after all of that. That's a pretty extraordinary work.
Especially given it as well that they hadn't had the tournament for a couple of years, since 2019. So it's a whole new era of running tournaments. And I've had the discussion with their tournament director. It basically just in 3 years, the fan expectations change, things like electronic apps, different activations. It's like a whole new era. And all of a sudden, you don't have an event for a couple of years. It's not, every time when you have an event, you go to the next event and you sort of add a little bit. But when you have that break like that, it all of a sudden creates a whole new challenges. So for the fact that they pulled it off, and as you mentioned, for the golf course itself, after what they suffered on the May long weekend with the storm going through, just tremendous and cool to see. And everybody in Ottawa and everybody affiliated with the event should be proud.
Big time. All right, we got to take a break.
Let's do that.
When we come back, we're going to head out to the lesson studio. We're going to get into a little bit more of the golf news and information talk, because we got some stuff that we've got to push into the back nine.
Sure.
And we're going to do product watch, and then we're going to wrap it up and go home.
All right. Sounds
good. I might go get some sleep. All right. I'm Jeff Botter, and he's Scott McLeod. You're listening to the Flagstick podcast, and we'll be right back after this.
With Z-Star Series Divide, Hideki sees it all. See? There's the spin, and boom, that's the line. Introducing the two-tone Z-Star Series Divide, only from Srixon.
And we're back.
We are.
And I've reloaded my coffee, so I'm good. Hey,
didn't tell me it was a coffee break.
Not my problem.
No, okay.
Go get.
I've got coffee. I just need more.
Okay, we're back, and we're gonna head to the lesson studio. And in the lesson studio, Kevin Haim lesson studio, we'll call it, since there's no lesson T. And this week, Kevin and Jake, more Kevin, Jake behind the camera kind of thing, are going to use 3D motion capture to explain how your trail knee flexes during your golf swing. Something that you can probably really only target with video and I guess eyeballs. Yeah, but it's just slowing it down on the 3D. I think 3D motion capture technology is so cool, though. So that's it's going to be cool. All right, enough of that. Let's head out to the lesson studio and see what Kevin and Jake got to say.
Okay, golfers, today we're in our 3D motion capture studio, and I'm all suited up with my iridescent markers to get my accurate, incredible data, actually. Jake Haim's behind me here, my technical expert, all things tech here at the Golf Center. How you doing, Jake?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. A little nervous to hit another shot on camera, but let's get some numbers. So today, Jake, we're going to talk about that trailing leg, right? What are we going to focus on?
Yeah, well, we're going to look at the knee flex throughout the golf swing and see how as you turn into the leg, what's really happening with that trail knee.
Yeah, one of the hallmarks of my teaching right from day one as a young player is as you turn back into that leg, you kind of load into the leg as you're coiling and winding up. But that knee has to kind of accept the weight and resist against it, right, Jake? We want the weight on the inside of the foot at the top of the backswing.
Yeah, as you turn into your leg, because of the angles in your golf swing, it might extend a little bit, but you want to maintain that structure so you have something to build against.
Yeah, so as I turn into my butt cheek, let my hips turn, I've got a nice full wind up. but the back leg shouldn't straighten. So I want to show you this. We actually got some data from our PGA Tour avatar that confirms this, but I wanted to hit one for you here today and see what happened with my golf swing. So are we ready, Jake?
We are ready.
We'll capture my trailing knee angle at address, top of backswing, impact, and finish. Although address and top of backswing is what we really want. Here we go. Ooh, that felt pretty clean. That was a good one.
Yeah, good shot.
All right, let's look at those numbers, Jake, if we can, please. So at the start of my swing at address, what's my trailing knee angle?
Yeah, so if we look at the flex in your knee here, that is a 24.66 degree flex. So you're about 25 degrees flexed in your right knee.
That's decent, huh? I think that's normal.
Yeah, I mean, look, different postures will have slightly different numbers, but that's well within normal range.
Okay, so the key is as I turn into my back butt cheek, and it sometimes appears from a camera angle that my leg straightens up. Let's look at mine and see where we end up. So at the top of my backswing, I've turned my hips about 45, 50 degrees, but what's that number at now, Jake?
Yeah, well, you can see as you've turned into the hip here, the knee actually stayed quite flexed, and even though it looks a little bit extended, it's actually at 27.9 degrees of flex
So
now.
it's increased about 3 degrees as I turn into it.
It's more flexed than it started, and I think that's an interesting thing for most people to see. What's happening, everybody, is as you turn into your bum cheek, so your glute moves back, the angle of this knee actually slightly increases even though the angles change.
Yeah, you're loading into the leg, everyone. Okay, let's show impact just for fun, Jake. Bring me down to impact. Let's see the angle as I rotate. Ooh, club looks a little outside there.
So you turn into the golf ball.
Oh, no, you've turned me. That's why the club looks outside. You've
Agreed.
rotated
Yeah,
me.
let's not say it's perfect.
Please. And where am I now at impact?
So you're about 33.6 degrees now.
So even more flex, and then the finish, Jake?
And this is where you're going to be the most flexed at about 40 degrees. And I think that makes sense to everybody. If we look at you from face on, your weight's on your front foot, your foot's up on its toe, so the knee's going to be a little more flexed too.
Love it. So there it is, everybody. We set those legs about 25 to 30 degree of flex, maybe 23 to 30. We rotate against that leg, maintaining flex and load, and then we fire out of it. That knee doesn't straighten out at any point in the swing. Next time you're practicing, work on feeling weight turning into that flex back leg, and you'll play better golf.
Okay. All right. Well, as much as of an understanding of the golf swing and the movement of the body during the golf swing as I have, this is probably more up your alley than up mine when it comes to how the trail leg works during the golf swing. But
yeah, I mean, there's obviously variations within every person. The biggest thing is to obviously be able to identify what's happening with you and how it impacts what's happening with the rest of your swing. And, you know, having the advantage of 3D and the markers and identifying what those angles are is obviously much better. And we have the technology now to kind of look at that. So, yeah, cool to see. Cool to see something that maybe some people don't even think about. But again, you know, movements obviously vary as far as each person, but that's neat to see the insight as far as how Kevin's trail knee works during the golf swing for him.
Indeed, indeed. And I should mention, as always, the Lesson T / Lesson Studio is brought to you by the Kevin Haim Golf School. And whether you're looking to improve your putting, your driver swings, your chipping, if you're looking for a club fitting, you know, visit kevinhaim.com and get more information there. And remember that better golf is a lot more fun. So
last I checked, for sure.
Yeah, it is. So I throw that in at the end instead of the beginning because once again, I'm half asleep and goodness gracious. You know, it's probably the show is probably better when I am half asleep because I act like a donkey when I'm on here. Oh my gosh.
Makes it entertaining. You're human.
Oh,
You're
it's
human.
entertaining, all right.
You're human, that's for
It
sure.
certainly is entertaining. Okay. So let's step into the back nine presented by Golf Sim Gurus. Good friend Andy McWilliams. Work on your game all year round in the privacy of your own home. Custom golf simulator setups built to your specs to fit your budget. Visit golfsimgurus.ca to learn more. And should mention before we jump into the back nine that Andy's official grand opening of his facility in Kemptville, Ontario.
Celtic Golf Center.
Celtic Golf Center. It's been open for a little bit over a week now, but but the official opening is this Saturday night, so we'll be attending that. I obviously
we'll see you there.
Yes, that'll be fun. I have seen,
yes,
the more or less the start to finish. I've seen it when it was a bunch of wires and crap dangling from the ceiling and no drywall and far too much of Dale Watts, but it's nice to see it all completed. Obviously there was a little post on social media of Andy and I having a little par 3 competition there, and I must say there was a glitch in the system.
Right.
A glitch.
Much like the Instagram post that I had yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know what it is gang up on Jeff week or what, but holy crap, guys.
Just so happened to have that footage.
Oh,
if you
yeah,
want to
just
look
so
at Flagstick
happened to
Golf
have
on
it.
Instagram. I didn't name you at first.
Like when you see the golf swing and how great it is, obviously who it is. So it wasn't going to take long for people to figure it out. Not to mention, I'm not one to shy away from taking credit for things. So as soon as I saw it, I'm like, yeah, I know that guy.
Hey, you know what? You gotta own it, right?
Well, I own it. I got it out. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm not saying where it went after I got it out, but isn't the goal, isn't the initial goal of being in a bunker, the initial goal is to get out of the bunker?
Yeah, but the problem is that you have to be out of the bunker when the ball stops rolling. Is that the technical aspect that you missed?
Hairs here. We really are splitting hairs.
Okay.
I mean, we are.
Anyways, people go to Instagram if they want to see Jeff extract himself out of a bunker at Wooden Sticks. So I might have the footage still from Kiowa, from the ocean course of a similar.
Well, you know what the funny thing is? I know we got so much to talk about here, but you know what the funny thing is? When I first saw the video,
that's what you thought.
That's what I thought it was, because it was so similar. It was such a similar thing. Although the one at Kiowa, I think my knee was on the outside of the bunker or something too. But maybe what we should do. Oh, now here's an idea. This is a social media extravaganza. Why don't you pull both videos and put them side by side in a post?
Oh boy.
Because
all right, I'll have to.
Although I think the one at Kiowa, actually, I think that was a much better overall bunker shot. The results. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was too. So
because the one at Wooden Sticks, that one, I think that was the second shot.
No, that was actually your first one. The second one sailed over the green.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right,
Sorry.
Okay. So I think Kiowa got it out in the first try, and I think the result wasn't too bad. I know I didn't get up and down, but there you go. Something you can. Well, if you want to look at, it's only Friday. As we're recording this, it's only Friday. I mean, why not pile on more?
Oh,
the week's not over yet. Might as well pile on more.
I'll see what I can find. I'm sure I've got a shank or two.
Sure, if you look in your archives there, you can probably find some other odd golf swings on my part. Okay, enough of that.
All right, enough of that.
Okay, so let's jump into the 13th at Augusta.
Oh, okay, sure.
Or do you want to talk about do you want to go back to some of the stuff we didn't cover there in the?
Well, I moved Brooke down there, just the end of her year, just to sort of wrap that up.
Sure, we can talk about Brooke, because that was kind of a okay. Let's talk about Brooke first, then we'll talk about the Masters.
Obviously, we're talking about Brooke Henderson, who's from Smith Falls.
What other Brooke is there?
Well, I'm sure there's some, but but yeah, just to wrap up kind of her season and how it was, the 22 events she played in the LPGA
it was
Tour
good
this year. It was a tremendous year for her, and you know what I thought was neat for her was the fact that I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, but she managed her schedule really well this year. And that was one thing that she talked about, was taking some time off to make sure she was prepped for the bigger events. And despite the fact that, she had to deal with some illness, some injury this year, lots of different things. She got 2 wins out of the season, one at ShopRite, got her second major championship at the Amundi Avion Championship. And she had pulled out the week before the CME, the final event of the year, but she still managed to tie for 7th at that season-ending event, which was super, super important because, first, they're obviously playing for the overall, race to the globe, $2 million first prize.
Yeah.
So it was huge. So the fact that she was able to play was fantastic. Kind of gutted it out. Finished up, I think, third in the CME rankings. Just overall, 6 in the Rolex rankings to end the season. I'll get to more of that in a minute. As far as the Rolex rankings, 10 top 10s. Only two miscuts. Obviously, she had the withdrawals, but $2.4 million. 5th in greens and regulation, 17 in putts on greens and regulation. Now, a lot of people will look and they'll look at her stats and they'll say, oh, she was way down there on total putts per round. Total putts per round is a really bad stat, because the thing is, if you hit a lot of greens, and she's one of the top players as far as greens and regulations, you will have more total putts. So it's it's a really bad stat to look at as far as putts. And there are flaws anyways in the LPGA stats, despite the fact that they have KPMG on board to promote their stats and so forth. The stats are done manually. These are not done with ShotLink. The players have to enter their own stats at the end of the round, so their accuracy can be questionable. But a fantastic year for her. But that brings us to my last point. We're talking about the Rolex. I happened to be looking through the Rolex rankings, and I noted that, and I was going to do a little piece on this online, but I figure we'll just share it in the podcast here. That was her 200th event in the Rolex rankings. This is all the way going back to her very first appearance in the CP Women's Open back when she was a kid. In those 200 events, it's just remarkable, really. I mean, she's been 17th or better at the end of the year every season since 2015. Of those 200 events, she's only missed 15 cuts, and 82 of those she was in the top 10. So remarkable as far as that consistency throughout her career. Yes, people will argue maybe there was things here and there she could have done better to get more wins, blah blah blah. Fact is, she's got 12 wins, 2 majors. That level of consistency is really hard to find for any level of player. So it's just tremendous. So kind of good on her, and I'm expecting big things from her for next year. So any thoughts on what you saw from her this year?
Oh, you can do a whole show on thoughts of her. She's a genuine person. She's a heck of a player. She's consistent. Like you said, she's extremely consistent week in and week out, even when she's not winning. I mean, you can't win every week.
No, it just doesn't happen.
You could certainly try, but the days, I think the days of players, whether it's on the LPGA Tour or the PGA Tour, I think the days of a single player dominating to the point where they're winning week in and week out like that,
and
those days are gone.
Nobody's really ever done that. So I mean, even if you look back and
the only player that's really done that, in my lifetime was Tiger Woods, when he was basically winning every week. I mean, was it the year he won 11 consecutive events?
No, he didn't. Byron Nelson won 11 consecutive events. Sorry. Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, if you look at as far as how a player plays, and so, his percentage is higher, but the reality of golf is that, you become a good loser. That's really what it amounts to as far as pro golf. You can play, and I've said it before, you can play 500 events in your pro career, win 20 events, and you're in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it just doesn't happen. Even Tiger winning the events that he did, Sam Snead, Kathy Whitworth, Mickey Wright, you put in all these players. I mean, the percentage that they win, I mean, 20% would be the biggest players. So, if they're winning 1 in 5 and you're considered one of the greatest of all time, so players, there's a perception that a player is winning all the time. They're not winning all the time. They're winning consistently, but it's certainly not, every single week for sure.
So I mean, that's how I sum up. Brooke is in one word, is just consistency, because it's I mean, there are some inconsistencies to her game, but there's less inconsistencies to her results. That we always seem to be talking about her. Oh, there's another top 10. There's another top 10. There's another top 10. There's another. Well, being in the top 10 It's like when you give me a stat like T17 in putting, you know, okay, well, or T15 in greens and reg, or whatever the case may be. When you're talking about that stat, you're not talking about I'm T17. Well, the T1 is 65% greens in regulation, and T17
it's a fraction.
is 63. Like you could easily be number one by hitting one more green in regulation per round. I mean, it's so the stats are somewhat subjective, but the consistency is there, and that's the thing that has always impressed me with her, and managing the expectations that everybody has for her, aside from what expectations she has for herself.
She's still only 25.
There's a lot of career left there,
25.
but she's one of those ones that she strikes me maybe, and I don't know Brooke as well as you do, but she strikes me as maybe the type of player that might do sort of a Lorena Ochoa thing, where she's going to play for maybe, I don't know, she's not going to play as deep as Annika did. She's not going to play, until she's.
I've said that as well.
I think she's going to play for a little while longer. She's making money. She's done well for herself. She doesn't need to do this forever. And then I think she's going to move on to another chapter of her life and know that she's had an outstanding career.
Well, here's the thing. Part-time Brooke would still be fabulous, So, and again, I think she's done a great job, 22 events, not playing 30. And obviously, as she said earlier in her career, she wanted to play all the events to kind of get a feel for what she liked and didn't like or whatever. And, she has a lot of other corporate obligations, so that takes up a lot of weeks as well. And then on top of that, you got to have a personal life. So,
darn right you do.
So good for her. And I think the strategy is paying off.
All right, let's dive into one more, see if we can dive into one more topic here, Scott, maybe two,
sure.
And then we'll move on to our product watch. But let's talk about Augusta National, because this is sort of it's been I won't say big in the news, because it really hasn't been in the news it's been a social media
fodder.
Fodder for quite a while when the announcements were made. And I mean, I'm curious what your take is on it. I have my own take on it, but Augusta National, more hole changes and yardage changes, particularly to number 13 this time.
Yeah, and it's not like the club has announced these. They've just been discovered by Eureka Earth continuing to post photos, and it looks now that we saw construction of the 13th tee box, the dogleg left par 5. Azalea as it's known, and we saw how it creeped into sort of the land that was owned by Augusta Country Club next door, and they had Augusta National Golf Club had made a purchase from that club over the years and built this tee box. So traditionally this has been a shorter hole. If we look back at its history, 1934 this was only a 480 yard par 5. 2022 it was 510. And there was a lot of controversy because, players were basically turning into a par 4 of sorts. There was a number of players that were able to kind of cut off the quarter and have short clubs in there. Notoriously, there was Bubba Watts that had a wedge in there. Again, it varies by each player. It doesn't guarantee that they're going to have a short score. The problem is that they've lengthened the hole back to probably be about 550, and let's just say not everybody is excited about it. And part of the reason is, does that sort of take away what the back nine at Augusta is about? And as this course has gotten longer and longer and stretched over 7,500 yards, what we've been used to over the years on that back nine, whether it's Tiger or Phil or whatever the case may be, is a player going low on that backside and having the opportunities on holes like 13 and 50. Now, opportunities on holes like 11 have gone away as it's gone over, stretched over 500 yards as far as a par 4 is concerned. But the holes 13 and 15, those par 5s, have been traditionally the ones where we're seeing birdies, we're seeing eagles, we're sometimes seeing disasters, but normally not. But it's usually the eagles, and that gets fans sort of fired up. So Mackenzie Hughes, the Canadian player, obviously a tour winner, obviously made comment about it. He said, this isn't a great change. There are not many birdie opportunities on the back, and that is what makes the Masters great. The roars through the trees also made it fun when guys attempted shots from the pine straw, which is the area that players would drive through the fairway off the tee shot, which they won't be able to reach now. Now you probably can't even reach it, is what he said. So I did a little bit of a survey that was related to this. I don't have this one as far as the Twitter poll up in our notes, but my Twitter poll that I did sort of related to it was the fact of, would you prefer to see scores change based on birdies or under par holes or over par holes? And most people went for the under par because they want the excitement, they want the level of volatility based on that versus just watching disasters. Plots on what's happening here at 13 and maybe, you know, Augusta National overall, and continuing to lengthen the golf course.
I'm not a fan of this. I mean, I get it. You know, the technology and the players, the way the players are built now, they're hitting the ball, and Augusta with all the slopes and stuff to the fairways. I mean, you see a hole that's 500 plus yards, and just the way that they play it. 11 is a perfect example. If you hit the ball at a certain spot on that fairway, it's a long hole, but the ball can roll out a fair distance with the elevation and the slopes. But when it comes to 13 and 15 in particular, and we're talking about the back nine in Augusta, it's, to me, it's sacred. You know, I mean, it's my gosh. I mean, it's all about the birdies and the eagles on 13 and 15. And if the length of the golf course that it was, okay, at 510, fine. I get it. Leave it. At 550 and moving the tee deck back where they did. And now, guys are still going to reach it, but that green,
it's a lot harder though, because it's a dog leg, right? So where that dog leg cuts in there, you're going to get blocked out and not have that opportunity. It'd be different if it was a 550-yard straight hole.
Is what worries me, is that even when you didn't hit a great tee shot on 13 or 15, you would still have an opportunity to go for that green in 2 from where you were. You just had to hit a more creative shot to do it. You know, whether and you'd always have like a side hill lie, like
you'd have to take on that challenge.
The greens, both of those greens are not particularly big and deep. They're shallow greens. So coming at them with short irons, I get it. It's a lot easier to stop the ball on the plateaus, and the water, the creeks in front is not as big a deal. But
the thing is, I think it eliminates any chance of you wanting to risk that if all of a sudden off the tee you're totally blocked out by the trees on the left side, right?
Well, what's to me, okay, like riddle me this. What's the difference really between, the hole's 510 and guys are blowing it over the corner and hitting, you know, pitching wedges and 9 irons into the green, and then they're having eagle putts.
And most of them are not. I mean, that's
exactly. It's a low percentage of them that are pulling that off. They're still, for the most part, guys are coming at that green with mid to long irons, you know, and having to stop the ball on, you know, very shallow greens that are usually quick. And, you know, there's a lot of things that come into play. But all you're doing is saying, okay, well, what are we taking out of play here? We're taking the potential for the guaranteed 2-putt birdie out, and we're taking the potential for the short eagle putt because they're hitting short irons in. So what you're saying is now everybody is going to lay up short of the water instead of going for it, and they're all going to be hitting lob wedges and sand wedges, little chip shots in for their third shots. And the guys, and it's just going to be a birdie fest because these guys are good enough that majority of them from 50 yards out are going to knock it 3 or 4 feet away and make those putts. I would rather see tap in birdies and lots of eagle putts than tap in birdies from everybody.
I think there's a little bit more anticipation and excitement for that. So I looked it up. The average all-time scoring average on that hole is 4.79 strokes. So obviously under par, as most par fives would play on the PGA Tour. Now, it does rank as the second easiest hole on the golf course, but how much is that stroke average going to change? Even if that stroke average goes up 1, you know, then it goes
I don't
up
think
to
the stroke average is going to change because I think more guys are going to make birdie. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be less eagles maybe, but I think more guys are going to make birdie.
Because less people are going for it, so there's less disasters. And I'd be curious to follow that for sure. But yeah, you're right. I mean, at 4.79, and here's the fact. And when you look at it as far as the overall stroke average over the years, as far as the tournament is concerned, yes, there's been a couple circumstances where players have gone into the high teens, but that's been pretty rare. And really what it comes down to in most cases is the weather. Obviously that changes, and really the greens. And they have full control of the greens. When that golf course gets crispy and hard, especially around the greens, the scoring numbers go all the way up as far as the scores are concerned.
Now,
so I mean, it's up to them. It's their money.
Well, absolutely. It's their tournament.
Yeah. But
I will tell you this though. The thing that to me, the thing that changed most about Augusta, the Masters and Augusta National, in my mind, and I've had this conversation with, because my son Brandon is an avid golfer as well, and he watches the majors, and we all like the Masters and whatnot. But the thing that I always loved about the Masters was the way the green complexes, the way the runoff areas were around the green. Okay. So where there was no rough.
Right.
You know, it was wall to wall fairway, then pine straw. Like I loved that about the Masters. I loved the fact that when guys would hit the ball on 11, they would hit the ball and it would spin off the front of the green and it would roll right down into the water. Because there was no rough. It was fairway right down to the water. I love that about Augusta National. Then they went and did, and I understand why they did it. It's not that I don't understand it, but you know, for me, this goes back to even the local golf course here at Predator at Greyhawk. And when that golf course was built, initially by Paul Takahashi, and that golf course was built to be a Scottish moorland style golf course. It was tight fairways. It was firm. There wasn't a lot of like the fairways were really sharp. You couldn't flop the ball around the green complexes. You had to bump and run. You had to putt. And then it changed. And the fairways got a little spongier, the rough came in a little bit tighter, and it became easier to get up and down around the greens. Not that I'm a wizard or anything like that, but it became easier to get up and down around the greens.
I get that as far as around the greens. I don't know as far as the, having a first cut out in the fairways. I think, that brings in less control as far as those approaches.
And I agree with that because of the fact that you're not able to spin the ball.
But it also shortens the golf course because guys are getting flyers out of that situation.
I just really liked around the greens at Augusta. I like the fact that I remember watching so many Masters, so many where guys would putt the ball off the green, or they would hit a wedge shot in and have a little too much spin, and it would spin and it would roll and roll and roll and roll and roll and roll. It would catch the edge of the green. It would roll down into the water, and there's nothing to hold it up. It would go same with the creeks in front of 13 and 15. The ball would miss the green. It would roll. It lands in the rough.
Well, a lot of that's still in place. I mean,
it is, but there's rough there, and it stops I don't even know if some examples. I've seen so many Masters. It was one of the things that I liked about Augusta National. And but a lot of
But a lot of that happens because again, the course conditioning on the greens itself, and if they have the greens firm, which again they have the sub-air system, they have the ability to control.
They can control all of that more than any other golf course on the planet.
Right, but that is what makes the difference in the scoring more than anything. So the thing is that if you've got whether it's 510 or 550. If your green is firm and 13 has got some depth to that green, it's different than 15, but it's shelves that are there, so you have to be more precise of where you land it, obviously. But if that's firm, that's a lot harder to control. So this is one golf course that I think even if this golf course was 6,800 yards, I get it, players would have shorter clubs and stuff in. If those greens are concrete, you know what? And you're requiring that skill, especially about short game and controlling and stuff like that, the scoring doesn't go, that low. It really doesn't.
No, and I look at it as as overall the tournament.
Mhm.
So I don't look at it as, okay, 24 under for the 4 days or 30 under for the 4
Well,
days
it's
or
never
whatever.
happened.
You know, I don't look at it as what the overall score is at the end of the day. What I'm looking at when I'm watching the Masters, particularly,
Yeah.
it's the one tournament that I do watch for this specifically, is what happens on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I care about. I care about
Yeah.
the competition. I care about guys, getting to that back nine and going deep and chasing down somebody who's playing safe and protecting the fact that they've got a 3-shot lead or a 2-shot lead, and someone behind them is going ultra aggressive and starting to, like the Jack Nicklaus, that's what I want to see. You're not going to see that if they keep making the golf course longer.
Well, and I think this is a little bit reactionary too to Dustin Johnson going 20 under in 2020, but we have to remember that was in November. That's totally different than the normal conditions that happen. So, whether Tiger Woods was 13 under in 2019 or Patrick Reed in 2018, in most cases, we go back to Danny Willett. He was 5 under. Sergio Garcia, 9 under. Bubba Watson was only 8 under. So even if he was hitting a wedge into 13 in 2014, he won by 3 strokes and was 8 under par total. So I don't know if this actually, I think this starts to help eliminate other players and lessen who can actually contend more. So let's be curious and see what happens. We know the scoring average right now, 4.79. So mark it on the calendar. And what we're going to see is, let's see what it is this year. Again, it's going to be dictated a lot by the weather and the conditions and stuff anyways. But I expect to hear more negative reviews from players more than anything. So,
all right. We're chatting on about some good topics here, so we're going to have to skip some things, unfortunately.
Sure, no worries.
Let's jump into product watch, Scott, and then and we'll save some of this other stuff for next
Sounds
week.
good.
But let's get into product watch, brought to you by Greensmere Golf and Country Club. Elevate your game at Greensmere. Choose between 2 great 18-hole championship courses, distinctively different, definitely challenging. Visit greensmere.com for more information. Okay, Scott. Cleveland Golf soft milled putters, the Huntington Beach models. Let's do a quick chat on those, and then we'll head out.
Yeah, if people are not familiar, about 6 years ago, Cleveland sort of jumped into the putter game in a slightly different way, knowing that a lot of players were seeking sort of the softness of a milled face putter. Now, we're not talking about a putter that's fully milled on the whole head, which is obviously an expensive process. We can cast a putter head and then mill the face and go, sort of get the difference in feel and so forth. But they basically created more iterations of it. And they've got the latest edition has come out, reasonable pricing. I still think it's one of the best values in the game. It's got a number of different head shapes, has a slight fitting system as well, has some different alignment options. But I think in overall, they basically created some of the most popular shapes, and coming in at about $325, I guess. Although that's expensive, obviously still, but you got to remember, a putter is a club that we're going to use every single hole, hopefully. Well, not hopefully, and we obviously don't want to sometimes chip in. But these HP soft mill putters have just basically created an option for people that want to get into a milled putter. And overall, just, good pricing, good value, feels good, shapes good. I like the weight of them. They do have some different options as far as, like I said, the stroke style. You can choose out some different models. Overall, just a nice solid line, and it continues to be. And I think it's been successful for them. Like I said, started 6 years ago, and they keep going. As long as they can keep the pricing somewhat reasonable, I think they'll make a value proposition for a lot of people. And I think that's a real sweet spot for a lot of people. Not everybody's going to be paying $600 for a putter, for sure. And I know you've had some experience with this putter line as well. And playing around. And what are your thoughts as far as the feel of these?
I like the putter. I mean, I had the same putter for a very, very long time, as people that have been listening and watching know. I went to a whole new setup this year with Srixon irons, and I happen to have a Cleveland putter, and I like it a lot. I mean, the combination of the larger Super Stroke grip too. I like that. It's a different feel for me than what I'm accustomed to, but it's very soft in combination.
And
with
I should say
ball.
they've got 2 different Golf Pride grips that are available. They have their red.
You don't have to get the jumbo Super
right.
Stroke
So they've got a
there.
red star and a green star, which are kind of different shapes, which
Mhm.
again suitable for different kinds of strokes or whatever, which provides some options in these putters. But I mean, just overall, it's hard to beat. And the other option with these is that they not only come in a steel shaft, they have a UST Mamiya all-in shaft, they call it, which is a graphite shaft, designed to have a little bit different characteristic as far as weighting and stiffness. Stiffness creates a slightly different feel. So they're gradually expanding this line, which is kind of neat to see. So obviously when they introduced it 6 years ago, very limited options, but now they're creating more and more options, and it's progressively becoming a bigger thing for them. And for a company that's specialized a lot in short game, mostly in wedges, it's neat to kind of see this expansion for them and continued growth for them in this market.
So if you're interested in this particular putter, you can head into find an indoor golf facility retailer, and find their putting green and roll a few. I think you'll be impressed with it.
I think so.
Try it out, compare it to some other putters as well. But I think you'll like what you see when you give this one a shot. I know I do. But I'm just one guy.
Yeah, I think what's neat though, when people will see as far as the milling's fairly aggressive, but it's not really it's not a tight milling. So from a softness standpoint, it's not too soft. It's kind of in between. So for a player, if they're coming from a flat face putter that doesn't have a lot of softness to it, but maybe they don't like the feel of a full insert putter that's really maybe a little bit mushy, I'd say these are kind of slightly in between. And I've seen just smash factor numbers when people are working with them, they kind of fall, like I said, in between super fine milling and super soft inserts. Kind of a sweet spot there, which again I think plays into their ability to match up to a lot of people, and the fact that they're kind of working their way in the middle instead of working away on the ends.
Yes,
whether these appeal to a wider range of people. Good one for Christmas. Good one for holidays too.
Yes.
Yep.
There you go. Speaking of Christmas, I just want to remind everybody, keep your eye on flagstick.com for upcoming holiday gift guides.
Scott's 2 posted so far.
Two up there now, part 2s, part 3s. So we just, randomly put some up from time to time. We'll keep them coming. So keep getting back to flagstick.com and checking that out.
And send DMs and messages as well. If you're looking for something particular and you don't know, chances are we might even know your spouse or partner or whatever it is. But if you've got questions and you don't know anything about it. So if you're listening to this, you're the golfer. Maybe you want to pass it on or share it to the person that you're hoping to give you a gift, and they can certainly reach out to us and DM us on social media or whatever, and we'd be happy to help them out with their shopping.
We certainly would.
We're not going.
We
don't
to get a kickback either, unfortunately.
No. All good, but we're happy to answer any questions and help them out.
Okay, we touched on a lot of stuff this week, Scott. It was nice to get back to it.
Yeah, good to see you.
I felt strong. I felt like I was getting back into it near the end there, and
next week.
Next week I'll be motoring through without any hiccups or problems deciphering my notes or anything else. So, great show as always. We want to thank our sponsors, Metcalf Golf Club, Golf Sim Gurus, Greensmere Golf and Country Club, Kevin Haim Golf School, and our presenting sponsor this week, Srixon Golf Canada. Whether you're looking for a premium urethane option in the Z-Star series, a quality budget option in the soft field, or somewhere in the middle with the Q-Star Tour, Srixon Golf is bound to present an option that will work for your game. For more info, visit srixon.ca. Well, thanks again. We really hope that you enjoy what you're watching and listening on the Flagstick podcast. Be sure to follow us across all the social media networks, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Subscribe to us on Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. And do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now that we're sort of back in the swing of things here, we're going to get some more stuff up there for you too. So make sure you subscribe, like us, and click the notification bell to make sure that you get every single episode or whatever we post as soon as we post it. Get over to flagstick.com again and check out everything that we have in there. New contents delivered up there daily, holiday gift guide information. And as always, we appreciate you tuning in. Until next week, I'm Jeff Botter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Always remember, go for the stick.